Support for this show, Politics Done Right, comes from politicsdoneright.com, publishers of How to Make America Utopia, Take Away the Economy from Those Who Rigged It, As I See It, Class Warfare, The Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom, It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors, and other books written by Egberto, Willies. Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right.
Jack, you had some wisdom for us today, a whole damn page. So let's get
this is something that I closed with yesterday. I expanded it a little bit. Let's not glorify or glamorize war or war records. There are no noble wars. War is about profitability. It's about taking something from somebody else. It's about dominance. It's about empire. We simply must not allow our big oil oligarchs to take us to war. Period.
There is no doubt. There is no doubt that you are absolutely right about that. We have to stop. We have to stop I like to say we need to bring down our gullibility index. Right now, if we take a look at what's going on in Israel and in Ukraine, etc., there's only one group that's succeeding from these wars, and that's a war industrial complex. This stuff about revenge, taking revenge for what one group does to the other. I want to ask everybody a question because you bring up a very good point. Jack. If you think about it, these groups that are unaffiliated, let's say Hamas, let's say the Houthis, all these other groups that operate outside of an official government. There's one thing that's interesting. They are all well funded with arms sales. They all have arms. Their people may not have food to eat, but they sure as hell have a lot of bombs to drop and missiles to launch and bullets to shoot. You have to wonder when we are going to grow up and figure out, wait a minute, how can all these terrorist organizations and all these other groups get all these sophisticated arms from Russia, America, Brazil, Israel, etc.? How can that be if these are struggling organizations trying to look for freedom? We've always been played. And the war machine that you talk about, Jack, is exactly how we constantly are played. And all the cogs, all the widgets that take the fall are the human beings, the 1,200 dead Israeli citizens that were good citizens near the border of Gaza, who were progressive, liberal folk who said we need to get along. But they bore the brunt of the terrorist killers from Gaza. And then the purported response from Israel. And notice I said the purported response, right? That now has killed over 40,000 innocent Palestinians. Who benefits? It's something that's not going to change, right? These cousins have been, because of external forces, been at each other for centuries, right? And it's not the regular people that fight. It's when the top of one side is mad at the top of the other side, then they send the people in to die to see which one have bigger pelotas. At some time, it has to stop. You listen to how we Americans, many times we speak about these wars, etc. It's like, oh, who has a bigger gun? Are we going to let them take advantage of us? We have to show power. Look, the ones who showing power, whether it's Donald Trump, Joe Biden, or anyone else, not one of them are going on the battlefield. At least the Kennedys at one time, they were flying a lot of these planes, so they had a stake in the game. But all these people pushing for war, etc., they don't have a stake in the game. Just innocent people die. And then we, the peons, if somebody talks in a pacifist fashion or sounds like they want war to end, they get accused of being weak or not promoting our national security. And then at the same time, we talk about loving our fellow neighbor and loving man and the sanctity of life. We are going to have to start thinking logically. But anyhow, sorry for the beginning of the show today, my brothers and my sisters. But, having Howard and Jack to eventually figure things out is manna from heaven. For those of you who believe in the manna from heaven in the Old Testament, the Moses days. But again, a lot of this come to pass because, again, we work on a hairstring budget. So when our next fund drive come along, I'm going to ask you all to really at that point, really double up. And you don't have to wait for fund drive. You can call right now, 713-526-5738 and hit extension 1 and give a little something, and then call me up and hit extension 2 and say, Egberto, guess what I just did? I just made sure that, when Howard is pulling those strings, he have nylon instead of polyester or something, So anyhow, title of the show today is Trump's Truth Central Scam. Buttigieg exposes Vance hypocrisy and Senate Democrats on Vance hypocrisy. Let me tell you something. I was watching some news and Trump is in a tizzy. Kamala Harris stole his idea. That's what he says. You remember he went out and he said, hey, tip workers. Notice how he said it. It's important. We are going to give tip workers. We're not going to tax tip workers tips. And, Kamala then came out and said, hotel and service workers tips will not be taxed. And we are going to work for an increase in the minimum wage, make it a living wage. And to that answer, Trump said, you stole my idea. You stole my idea. And I need to really show you all what often isn't covered. Notice what Trump said. Tip workers will not get their tips taxed. In other words, anyone receiving tips, your tips are untaxable right now. Kamala said distinctly that those hotel and restaurant workers, certain level, they will have their tips not taxed. Does it sound like the same? It may sound like the same, but it isn't the same. The reality is when Trump said tips workers wouldn't have to pay taxes on tips, he left the door open for, stock brokers. He left the door open for people who run hedge funds to convert some of their earnings into tips. And they are the ones who would profit. Because guess what, my dear brothers and sisters? If you're a tip worker, most tip workers already don't pay taxes because they don't reach the income threshold to pay taxes. So when a politician tells a tip worker, I am not going to charge you taxes on tips, for most workers, they'll say, I wasn't paying taxes on it anyway. Because I make so little, I don't pay income taxes on that tip. I don't pay income taxes on that tip. But you know who will? The stockbroker and the hedge fund manager, when he goes ahead and says, well, this type of income is a tip, classified as a tip, it could mean billions of dollars, and he pays no tips. Robert Reich pointed that out when he came, and he said, nope, Kamala Harris didn't steal his idea at all. Again, it takes a little bit more than just listen to the voices of politicians to make up your mind about issues. You have to see how those issues that they talk about is actually transferred into policy, and how those policies are then used as loopholes to get things done. So again, folks, when you're out there promoting the progressive message and somebody says, look at how they are going to follow the tip model, the progressives are following the tip model, remind them that no, progressives protected the working class. Progressives said, no, we are not going to just go ahead and say, tip workers, you get off scan free, while that they normally don't pay any taxes. Again, the important way to help tip workers is to make sure they get a living wage. Do you know some people that work at restaurants make $2 an hour purportedly because they get tips? Do you know also that one of the biggest anti-work policies passed by Trump actually said the following: the employer who picks up those tips, they can, I repeat, they can use those tips as they see fit. They don't have to give, most of the tips these days are not collected in cash by the tip worker. They are collected by the person who, you fill out the credit card, you have a tip line, you put a tip on it. That doesn't automatically go to the worker. And Trump made it legal that tip doesn't belong to the worker. It belongs to the company. And they can choose to do what they wish with those tips. Did he say that when he passed the bill, when he talked about tip workers? He never said it. So let's not be fooled by the wordiology. Let's go to Brother Johnny. Line number 1.
Good morning. I think it's really
Johnny.
rich, Donald Trump and his Republican buddies, to cry, she stole my idea. How many populist economic talking points of Bernie Sanders did you hijack, Donnie, huh? And then you talk about crowd size and CGI, and it's fake. She doesn't have anybody showing up. Look at the reflection in the concave reflection in the aeroplane. Oh, wait a minute. You talk about crowd size? You talk about CGI? What about those people that you paid $50 each to stand at the bottom of that golden escalator and hop up and down and pretend they loved you? Everything about him is fake, and he projects everything. That's it. I'm done.
Thank you, Johnny. One of the things that really get to me is that you're so right. The media doesn't talk about these things, even when they talk about crowd size and when they talk about these particular issues. They forget to remind the American people that all of this stuff is staged. Even this thing that Robert, I got this info about Donald Trump and what the policy he passed, not the policy he passed, but how the tip could be used for mega rich hedge funds. You don't hear the mainstream media talking a whole lot about that, but it needs to be, because people think these guys care about the working class. They don't. Let's go to Brother Donald.
Hey, good morning, Barto. How are you today?
Good morning, my brother. I am fine, sir. Now that we are all nice and clear, I'm feeling great.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead, Go ahead, Donald. Donald. I don't know. Well, I don't know why I can't hear you now, Donald. We just heard Johnny. We just heard you. Uh-oh. Let's go to Augie then. Let's go to Augie, and Donald, go ahead and call back. Let's see if we can pick up Augie. Come on in, Augie. All right, Augie, you're on.
Me?
Yes, you're on,
morning.
Augie. Good morning.
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead, Augie.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, but apparently you can't hear me. So let's go ahead and go to. All right. Yep. All right. Well, issues happen. We're still working on it, people. We're still working on it. We are still working on it, and we'll get it taken care of in the long run. Anyhow, so yeah, Donald Trump went ahead and said that she stole his idea. So, folks, the idea was not stolen. That we've been talking about tip workers for a very long time. What we want to make sure is that these tip workers are not working for $2 an hour and then at the same time having their tips stolen. We want to make sure of these particular issues. And at some point, we are going to be able to get that taken care of. I tell you, folks, we have to make sure and not just by the line. Let's see if those lines are back up for the telephones. Let's bring Augie in again and see if it works. Augie, can you hear what we're saying at this point in time?
Hey, good morning.
Good morning, Augie. Talk to me.
Yeah, another thing Trump said he wasn't going to tax for Social Security, which wasn't taxed at all until Ronald Reagan and Republicans taxed it. I knew a Republican who was mad about, he remembers when he was younger, Social Security wasn't taxed. Well, but he didn't care about it at the time because he wasn't on Social Security when Ronald Reagan taxed it. But now that he's older enough, he was complaining about it. He remembers one time when it wasn't. Well, it was Ronald Reagan and Republicans that taxed it. And Trump is talking about, well, when he's president, he's not going to tax it anymore. Mr. Republicans that taxed it.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about it is, I tell you what I don't understand. The pathology of people like JD Vance, the pathology of people like Donald Trump, where they give the impression, they have no problem giving the impression that they're helping the working class. But all the policies that they write are written in such a manner that the working class gets a crumb, but it's taken back in another form. And then that same policy that gave them a crumb is used for the ultra rich to take some big tax breaks. And at the same time, things like your health insurance, your home insurance, and all these other things go up. So they give you a crumb, they take a slice of bread, and they give the whole bread minus that slice to the wealthy. That is the policy that we get on the right. And, this is not up for debate. It's policy. You know what I mean, Augie? It's policy. Go ahead, Augie.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, yeah,
Anything else you want to add? Anything else you want to add before I continue?
Yeah, Johnny, a day or two back, said that Edison discovered a filament after a lot of hard work. Well, he didn't discover it. He had a whole lab full of workers that were working on the filament. It was the scientists that were working on the filament, not Edison. But it wasn't his scientists that found the filament. It was a black scientist that discovered the filament.
He found out that tungsten, that element tungsten, was one of the best elements to use in a light bulb that wouldn't burn after Edison and his people tried to use carbon filament. There is so much to history that is revised, to make, to create an alternate source. So you nailed that right there, Augie. You nailed it. Yeah. Anyway, thank you for calling, my brother. Let's go to Donald, and let's see. Donald, come on in, my brother. Sorry for the mishap earlier.
Oh, no problem, Egberto. How are you today?
I am doing fine. And, after hearing from you, Augie, and Donald, it's even better. And Patrick to come. Go ahead.
Okay, it's better to be a peon than a Klingon. At least you're out front. Okay. Now let's go back in time and speak your age. There was a guy that used to be.
Go ahead, Donald.
Things change, yes. Now, for one of your callers, it's interesting is a lot of athletes do like a Playboy thing. So I'm thinking he's wanting to see those two boxers, and let's bring Caitlin out and just see what's under the hood. That's all I got to say about that.
Oh, Lord. Oh, you're going to get me in trouble, Donald. You're going to get me in trouble, but I feel your pain. All right, let's go to Brother Patrick.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning, Patrick. How you doing?
Doing fine. Well, one thing that a lot of Republicans and Democrats talk about are having balanced budgets.
Yes.
What governor runs his state with social programs but still has a surplus?
That is Governor Tim Walz from Minnesota.
Okay, I'm just making sure. And then Donald is our strong man. He's crying. He's falling apart. He's a mental basket case. This is our strong man.
Yeah,
I don't know.
We are fooled, Patrick. It's all performative, But the good thing about it is, in Kamala Harris, it seems like we have somebody that is putting out policies and substance, which is an extension of the Biden's policies, and we also have somebody who knows how to perform. Because I've been pretty impressed with her performance. So, I guess in politics, you have to learn both theory and performance. Go ahead, Patrick.
Yeah, it's a nice change. We're seeing somebody that's joyful at what she's doing.
Yeah. And you know what else I love? The other thing that I love is that Democrats remembered something that Obama taught them, and that was have a short message that's also a feel-good message. Hope and change, joy. In her case, hers is even shorter. Joy. And hey, so far it's working.
Her choice too also seems to say that the DNC is finally understanding that maybe they need to give the people something to win.
Yes. I think you nailed that one, Patrick. You nailed that one. But anyway, anything else, Patrick, before I move on to Harry?
I was going to comment that the only way to change things for the hospitality industry is to raise their wages, not take away their taxes.
Thank you. You nailed it. Exactly. We need the hospitality workers. Those food prices are high, and most of it isn't really going to these hospitality workers. It's going to everything else except, look, the percentage that should be going to the hospitality workers isn't. So you have to ask yourself, why, when you go to a restaurant, the prices are so darn high if these guys are still not making a living wage? Thank you, my brother. You have a wonderful rest of your day, Patrick. Let's go to Harry. Okay. Harry will be coming in a minute. Harry, you're on. Go ahead,
Hello,
Harry.
Egberto. Can you hear me?
Good morning. Yes, I can. Good morning.
Okay. To piggyback off of what Augie was saying about the black scientist, his name is Lewis Lattimore. My brother and I were talking about this some time ago. Lewis Lattimore came up with this filament that Thomas Edison, who had been trying to elect him, but his filaments didn't work. Lewis Lattimore's it. So Thomas Edison paid him and took credit for what Lewis Lattimore did. That's who Augie's talking about. That's the black scientist's name.
Yeah, he made carbon in a way that could actually burn longer, and later on it became tungsten. But he's the one who did it. Yes.
Yeah, it's just too bad that he couldn't get the funding to do it, to be able to get the credit himself. Because Edison had his company and was bigger than him, and that's just unfortunate. Thomas Edison took credit for a lot of other people's work because he had a bigger company.
That is one of the things that I like to tell people all the time, right? Remember when we talk about billionaires rarely are the ones who've invented anything. They are the ones who sort of machinate the invention for other people who couldn't get the capital. Notice the word again, capitalism, the capital to develop it. Do you think anybody would have helped him with a carbon filament or anything like that in those days? I misspoke about carbon. It was another person who did tungsten, because that's what's in bulbs now. But he's the one who perfected the carbon filament.
That's right.
Go ahead, Harry. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, okay. I'll mention one other thing. I heard on NPR today, and I was just reminded. And I was talking to my poor friend in Florida who just can't see Donald Trump for what he is. On this day, 4 years ago, Donald Trump went to Louis DeJoy to stop the absentee ballots that were going to be mailed in because he knew most of his supporters and voters would not vote absentee because he told them that when this COVID was going on, or when it was really bad, to go out to the polls and vote. And Joe Biden told his supporters, be safe. And if you don't want to go to the polls, you can just vote absentee. But Donald Trump tried to stop that. He just, like the mayor of politics done right said earlier, the man is just a crook. He's just crooked. And as Johnny says, he projects those things onto other people.
All right, John, Harry, let's go ahead and do this, because what I tell people a lot of times is, we can complain a lot. We complain about Trump every day, which is justifiable. But we also complain of all the policies that these guys institute that make life difficult for people to vote in red states, etc. By the way, we have some contentions with the blue states, but I'll take that another day to make voting better in blue states. But here's the thing. What we need to tell people and make sure to move these arguments into telling them, please, every week, go ahead and go to your county website. In the case of Harris County, you go to harrisvotes.com and verify that you're still registered to vote. That's the important thing everybody can do between now and 30 days before November. You need to make sure you're registered to vote, because right now around the country, a lot of files are being purged, purportedly to remove dead people, purportedly to remove people that have moved, purportedly to remove people who are felons or whatever. You need to make sure everybody needs to take individual responsibility to make sure they're registered to vote. Harry, I got to go to the next caller.
Oh, can I say one more thing
real quick?
Yeah, I was listening to Tanya Mosley on Fresh Air last night, and this was news to me, but I'm not surprised. This guy, Joe Moore, who came out with this book, White Robes and Broken, I forget the rest of the title, but he was talking about how there was a plot to kill then president candidate Barack Obama by the Ku Klux Klan. And if you look up that Fresh Air that Tanya Mosley did, he explains all of that. And there was also another, he ran interference, infiltrated that. He was an informant for the FBI. And there was another situation, a black man.
Thank you, Harry.
And kill him.
Thank you for that info, Harry. Appreciate it. Let's go to B. Come on in, B.
Good morning, Politics Done Right. I want to say this. Isn't KPFT a progressive platform that once upon a time was bombed by the KKK? And isn't Politics Done Right continuing the progressive intent of educating us? So why then is the current station manager undermining the progressive intent by having those two characters, Mike and John, with the Utah that does nothing but parrot the bigoted narrative of Donald Trump and his Republican stooges. And as an end note, why should we even donate to KPFT only to be played and mocked by Mike and John when we can get that for free on Fox News? Thank you.
Okay, well, don't leave yet, V. Let's chat here. I'm on, right? I'm on. I don't know. Oops, I don't know about any other programs, etc. Politics Done Right is a progressive platform. KPFT is a 501c3 that promotes truth, gives people platforms to speak on. I do not hide my progressive values, and that I understand that this country, if we look at the people in the aggregate, they are in fact progressive based on the policies that they want. No one has stopped me from putting out that message. Now, I can't speak for any other talk program, but I tell you what, if you have a talk program not telling the truth, you do call it out. If you have a talk program defending pedophilia or whatever, you do call it out. And that is what a public station should be all about. Every one of you who are contributors to this station, first of all, let me be very clear. Every single one of you who contribute to this station, you have a voice in this station. And there are several methods that your voice is heard in this station. There's a board called a local station board that you can be a member for, that you can run for, and that you can, that you can build up a posse on the outside with people who donate to the station and become members that can vote people into this things. What I'm saying is this, and thank you, caller, for giving me the opportunity to talk a little bit about this. And Art, I'm coming to you, but I want to say this. I am a very strong believer in democracy. And democracy has a progressive hint, or tint is what I should say. Democracy has a progressive tint. Now, there are many people who will, with any station, would call and complain about a station, whether that be KRBE, whether that be K-Light. I don't care what station it is. People are going to complain. The difference between KPFT and these other stations is that you have the ability as a listener to own a piece of it. You have the ability to organize your piece of action in this station. It's a democracy. And for anybody who claims otherwise, many a times democracies work for the people who are willing to put the work into democracy. The reason Trump is in power right now is that many of us on the progressive end of the spectrum have gotten lazy. And I say that with respect. If I go ahead and tell somebody to go out there and vote and they say, I don't have anybody to vote for, and I say, well, vote for the one that would allow you the next cycle to move forward, and they say, I don't have time for that because nothing's going to change anyway, and you don't go out and vote, you get Trump. And you set the whole program back for decades. What I'm saying, my brothers and my sisters, is democracy is not easy. Democracy takes work. Democracy takes compromises. Democracy doesn't mean if you don't get your way, it's the highway. It says fight, work for it, try for it. I won't go into specifics, but even here at KPFT, all of us on air, many of us on air have had to fight for democracy as well. And, the best way to fight for democracy, the best way to fight for truth is to stay engaged, to be a part. Complaining is not enough. When our brother just called, I said, to Harry. We complain a lot about Donald Trump, etc. But what are we going to do about it? We have to engage. We can't just sit down at the keyboard. Last night, I wasn't at my keyboard. Why I'm so darn sleepy right now. Last night, I was at a session at one of my groups talking Project 2025 and all the ills of Project 2025. I was under the tutelage, the leadership of John Cutter, who runs the Humble Area Democrats. We brought in people teaching about Project 2025 and how to go out there and inform people about how things would change. We are doing the work. Whether we're doing the work outside for progressive values in the community, or we're doing the work at a specific entity, vis-a-vis KPFT, vis-a-vis any part that you can have control over with your participation. So, caller who just called, I hear you. And to which I say, everybody has a stake. Let's go to Art.
Thanks for taking
Art,
my call.
Yes, you're on, Art.
Oh.
Art, go ahead.
Sheila Jackson's lead position is coming up, right?
Yes.
And that's going to be November 5th, same as the elections. And there's 17 people that are running for that position. And I think that'd be something to focus on later.
That's not how it works, though. Hold on a second. That's not how it works. Let me go ahead and let people understand how it works. And about focus, that is Senate District 18, okay? That's Congressional District 18. Here's the thing. Sheila Jackson Lee's will be 17 people are not vying for the job per se. Today, there will be a vote by the precinct chairs in Congressional District 18. They will decide who will be the Democratic representative to take Sheila Jackson's position on the ballot in November. That is what's happening right now. It's the delegates, it's the precinct chairs that will decide who goes on to the ballot, and then the people will go ahead and revote for that person. That's how it works.
So there'll be like one choice, or how many?
There will be one choice in November, one choice, and that is who the precinct chairs will select today. All right.
Gotcha. And then while I was on hold,
yes,
that about democracy, voting. I think that message you have is a strong message, but that should be relayed to the DNC, national DNC, because they're so anti-democratic right now by trying to keep and suing Robert F. Kennedy off every state's ballot. They are doing their best to keep him off the ballot. And I think they're in fear him being exposed, being heard from long form platforms and keeping him off the debate. And they are just the biggest gaslighters and cheaters I've ever seen. Worse than Trump.
Well, let me just say this. Art. Okay. First of all, the truth of the matter is I am for everybody who wants to be on the presidential ballot to be on the presidential ballot. I would love that. Not only would I love that, but I would support that if it came along with something called ranked choice voting, right? Because what we would get the options for is no wasted votes, etc. But based on how undemocratic our electoral college system is, based on how undemocratic our gerrymandering system is, as democratic as I am, I don't see the Democratic Party. And I'm saying this, I am serious about the way I say this. The Democratic Party is doing what the Democratic Party should do in an undemocratic country when it comes to how presidential elections are held.
They gaslight so much. And that's exactly what they're doing.
I think, look, Patrick, I think, not Patrick, Art, sorry about that. I think you agree with me. Based on everything you just said, you agree with me, but let's talk another time. We'll go into more details a little bit later. Okay? Thank you, Art.
Thank you.
Let's go to Destiny. Come on in, Destiny.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, here. Yes, I hear.
Okay, so I want to comment on the issues about democracy, how to stop being lazy, get out there and vote. I have to say I really appreciate that because I felt like I needed to give up, but I'm more motivated to get educated and continue to try and vote to get the voice out there.
Thank you, Destiny. I appreciate that. I mean, we, it's so important for us to not think democracy just means you go out there and vote, and if somehow your vote is not taken, you should forget about it. No, democracy means being engaged 24/7. Like I said, I just using myself as an example. As I'm doing this, I'm out there in the field, making sure that we are also working on educating folks on many other issues. And we work together. We have leaderships in a lot of different domains. And we learn how to be led. We learn how to lead and how to be led. That's what democracy is all about. Anything else you want to say, Destiny?
No, that's pretty much.
Thank you so kindly for calling in, Destiny. Let's go ahead and go to Brian. Come on in, Brian.
Yeah, you're correct. The Democrats, they're a very, very uneducated society. Case in point, Kamala says she's going to not tax wages. And who said that first? Trump said that.
Did you hear
first.
the beginning? Let me stop you there, Brian. Did you hear the beginning of my program at all?
No, I didn't.
Well, you better listen to what I'm going to tell you real quick. I'm going to say it quickly. And it goes like this. One, Kamala did not copy Trump's policies. It would have been great if here's what Trump said. Trump said, tip workers will not be taxed. Kamala said, tip workers of the hospitality class will not be taxed, and we will work towards raising the minimum wage. There are two different things. Trump's policies help very few tip workers because most tip workers do not pay income taxes, but it will help hedge fund managers because they will reclassify a lot of the funds that they get as tips. So no, actually the smart ones are the progressives and Democrats who realize the double talk from Trump, who Kamala Harris undermined by actually putting the restriction on it that would prevent the mega rich from getting a whole bunch of bucks from tip workers, while tip workers from Trump, they neither get a wage increase or most of them, because they don't pay income taxes, they don't cross the threshold anyway. So again, no, it's not the same. And I hope I just informed you, my brother, of exactly what happened there. Okay?
Do you really believe what you just said?
No, it's not about. It's not about belief. It's a state. My dear brother, I don't just speak words without testing and figuring and doing the research. Okay, if you doubt it, go look at Robert Reich's latest column. You'll understand it. We read and we educate. That what I just said is the statement of fact. Anything else you want to add, Brian?
Yeah, there's some feedback. Still getting feedback. Like 2 seconds later, I'm still hearing exactly what I'm saying.
Okay. Anything else?
No, that's it.
Thank you, brother. All right, let's go to Wendy. Come on in, Wendy.
Hi, how are you doing?
I am doing fine. Talk to me.
I made the mistake of just rolling through my husband's preset channels, and we tried to be nonpartisan and listening to the radio and make sure that we're kind of listening to all sides of things. And it sounds like this is very one-sided. I was wondering if just the whole radio station was owned by the left or just your show.
All right, let me ask you one thing. I'm a very progressive person, but let me ask you, Wendy, is there anything that I don't like when people say I'm the left and right, that sort of stuff, without telling me if there's something that I said that was incorrect.
Okay, you said that you're doing what you can do to, as far as letting people know about Project 2025, which Trump has denounced several times, has said that that is the party's, not his plans, and that he's denounced it and he is not an extremist. And you said you're doing what you can do. You need to do what you can do to control vis-a-vis KPFT, meaning you're controlling KPFT, you're controlling the message, and you're not sharing the truth.
Okay, great. I'm glad that you said that. Let's talk about that real quick, because I don't have a lot of time. And I hope you listen tomorrow so that you'll get more time. But here's the deal. Trump told you, Ben, I said people like yourself, that he had nothing to do with Project 2025. That is a lie. And I have to come out and tell the truth about all. May I finish? Did I let you speak, my dear friend? Please let me finish now. All right. Everything that he said about that was a lie. And we have the videos where he went to the Heritage Foundation and said the Heritage Foundation is coming up with the conservative plan that we are going to be putting out there. I have the videos that prove that. I am responsible as a truth teller to tell you that. Likewise, everything within that Project 2025 is written for all to see. I have the 925-page script that we can actually say this is not conjecture. So the only thing that you have a problem with is tying Donald Trump to Project 2025. We've already proven that he's tied to Project 2025, given that not only all the people that work for him, but also with his own words. Where do we go on from there, Wendy? You have a choice to either believe what you're seeing or believe what Trump is telling you. And I think if you believe what Trump is telling you, you have defied who Trump has been all of his life. But continue, my friend.
I will tell you that what I believe is I believe what I see. And what I see is what Trump did for 4 years for this country. I believe that I see that Trump supports America. I believe that
Go ahead, continue.
Is a Christian that supports family. I believe that Trump is a smart businessman that understands economy. And I believe that I was way better off for the 4 years that he was in office than I have been these last 4 years. And I believe
Stop. I got it. We don't have a lot of time, and I need to answer some of those things that you mentioned. It's good that you believe that. Believing something doesn't make it fact. If we look at the actual numbers, the numbers prove everything that diametrically opposed to what you just said. More jobs were created factually under President Biden. More policies came that created jobs. Why many Republican mayors are now supporting the Democratic ticket, because those are the statement of facts. So my question, do you want to just believe, or do you want to have the truth? Do you want to believe, or do you want to feel that belief, or do you want the truth? And what I'm saying is the truth is there for me to show you unadulteratedly. If you want to sit down and go over item for item for whether it is true or not, we can, because the data is there. But you have to want to believe. Okay? Wendy, one quick sentence and I got to go to the other call.
That's what you said. I believe what I see. That's what I believe.
And again, you could not possibly see what isn't true, but we'll talk about that another day. Thank you for calling, Wendy. Let's go to Peter real quick. Peter, you got 30 seconds.
Thank you so much. So yeah, I think Wendy and the other callers, they just have like blind faith, but here's the facts. So you go to Trump's own website, look it up, Agenda 47, it matches identically to the Heritage Foundation's recommendations. So you guys, so I just have you that question. Do you guys want empathetic leaders, or do you want just know-it-all leaders? That's what you're getting with the Republicans. So also, do you want responsive leaders or non-responsive leaders? So if we send a letter, we ask for help for President Biden for like infrastructure. It's happening. And so that's the difference between Democrats.
Thank you, Peter.
And Republicans, they're the 1%.
Gotta go, Peter.
So
Peter,
wake up. You gotta vote smart, vote Democratic. Thank you so much, Egberto.
All right. Thank you, brother. The Democratic Party's best communicator in tonality and substance is likely Pete Buttigieg. You know that your campaign is frailing when the only thing you can come up with is to attack a beloved, governor, the governor that Kamala Harris chose for her vice president, the beloved governor of Minnesota, the state that is the sixth happiest state in the world, and you try to disparage a guy that has served 24 years in the military compared to the guy who's attacking him, who's only served 4 to get the GI Bill to go to school. Of course, it is sad because, whenever we're talking, we say things that sometimes we slip and say it and it comes out differently. In this case, Walt said something to the effect of weapons that he used in war. I mean, that could easily mean weapons that is supposed to be used in war. But somehow now the Republicans are going to grab onto that and try to make it a problem of false valor. He tried to say that he was in a war when he wasn't in a war. And by the way, he retired when he realized he was going to likely go to Iraq. False again, when the reality is, hey, he served 24 years. He could have retired at 20 years to get his full pension, right? So they have to create these things. But then JD Vance on CNN wants them to believe that he is the virtue of truth. He wants to go out there and we only tell the truth. And how dare Tim Walz make a mistake and says in war, right? Well, Pete Buttigieg, who I think is likely the best speaker, the best supporter in the way he defends and the way he speaks about issues, the best communicator. I want you to listen to what he had to say.
If the only thing that they can find about Tim Walz to complain about is to disparage his military record that was clearly honorable. Remember, you can retire at 20 years. Tim Walz served for 24. And the fact that they have to go back to find a clip from 2018 to find the one time that he slipped up when he talks about the weapons of war that he carried and said something instead about carrying a weapon in war. It's kind of an exception that proves the rule in terms of how hard you have to look to find Tim Walz saying anything that isn't precise and accurate. But there's something, I think, much bigger at play here, which is I watched that interview and watched JD Vance present himself as suddenly very particular about precision in speech and very concerned about honesty. He's running with Donald Trump, somebody who has set records for lying in public life. He just gave a press conference where fact checkers estimate that he told 162 distortions or lies. That, frankly, is just impressive in terms of being able to physically do that. It's like the Olympics of lying. So maybe just because it's Sunday morning, I can't stop thinking about the scripture that says, how can you look at your brother and say, let me take the speck out of your eye when you have a plank in your own eye?
Jeff Buttigieg didn't mince his words. How can you talk about a splint in your eye when you got a plank in yours? How can you talk about the virtue of truth when the person that you are serving under is the Olympics of liars, right? He lies better than, if we had the Olympics for lies, he would not only get a gold medal, he would win running away. Pete Buttigieg, excellent job in describing one, who JD Vance is, and likewise who the former president of the United States, Donald Trump, is. The Olympics of lies. All right, let's go to the studio.
Well, very interesting show again today. I was back here trying to figure out with all the technical issues that we're having. And that takes up a lot of time to figure out which tin cans and string are not working this morning. But we did get most of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got most of them. I'm going to try a couple of resets on some of these computers and see if that fixes the issue. And we have Jack, you got anything? He says no. Jack doesn't have anything. So let's go ahead and get out of here.
Well, folks, look, I want to thank all of you. Love all of you. Even my callers, my MAGA callers, all of you. We're going to talk. Keep listening. And I want you to turn off this channel. Let's talk. If you're looking for truth, then you'll come here to Politics Done Right. Anyway, I got to get out of here. My name is, by the way, the entire show is at politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. The callers took precedence over the show. politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. Anyway, folks, love you all. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out. Support for this show, Politics Done Right, comes from politicsdoneright.com, publishers of How to Make America Utopia, Take Away the Economy from Those Who Rigged It. As I See It, Class Warfare, The Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom. It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors, and other books written by Egberto Willies.
Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right.